There was no rest for me the rest of the week. I didn't do much work, but boy, I was busy. I had to golf and go to the
golfer game. Then you went to
the right. Did you take the whole week?
I did.
Then he went to the state fair on Friday.
It was busy.
It was great for him. I'm sitting at work seeing him and Johnny text, "Oh, here's the beer I'm having today at the state fair on Friday."
Yeah, I did run into Johnny at the fair. That was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't actually expecting to see him there.
Well, Jenny was. I think Jenny was volunteering at this bee thing. She's got a friend who's with the Department of Agriculture.
Yeah, actually, John was with True North Elite member Mark. You don't know if you met him before, but they were.
I probably do.
So
yeah.
I'm terrible with names.
Yeah,
sorry.
So. Again, guys, it was a great trip. It was probably a once in a lifetime type of trip.
Right. I have a feeling I will not be given permission to do that again.
Yeah, probably not.
Or at least for a while.
Not for the week. Yeah. Not for a whole week.
Right.
Well, of course, assuming Minnesota makes a deep run into the MLS Cup, and if they're playing in a semi or final, we might have to make that trip. But
depending on where it's at.
Of course,
I won't.
we've gone on some Minnesota United road trips, and namely this year, Chicago and Atlanta, and they both resulted in losses.
So maybe we shouldn't go.
Perhaps.
I think we should probably stay at home.
But we went to Madison and they won, so maybe it's Tony.
I don't think it's me.
He would be the common denominator there.
Madison's that's not United.
It's
an affiliate. It's an affiliate. I get it.
And there was Minnesota United players on the pitch that evening.
That's good.
Well, whatever.
Including Mason Toy.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about Mason.
And honestly, he jump-started his career after that game.
Yes.
He
absolutely did, because the next game after the game we saw back in June.
June, yep.
The next game was the U.S. Open Cup final, I believe, on the road against Houston. Or was it? No, or it might have been at home against... Either way.
No, I think it was Houston.
Yeah, I think it was Houston, and then he had scored... Because I made the comment, he scored the game winner for Minnesota just days after being on the pitch for Forward Madison.
Which is a great segue, because let's get into last night's game.
Yeah.
Now, after Tuesday night's game, we knew we had a huge game coming up last night against LAFC. And, of course, the three of us going into this match, I don't think any of us figured we were going to even have a chance.
Well, no, in fact,
if anybody looks at our picks.
Tony had the closest prediction at 2-1.
I was LAFC. A little bit more optimistic. I like to be the optimist.
And let's just point out, for good reason, LAFC had not lost a game at home all year.
Right.
In fact, they've only lost 3 games out of 27.
Look at their fucking point differential, for Pete's sakes.
Yeah, it was I think it was 46 going into the game. Or goal differential.
I saw somebody on Twitter, I wish I could credit them. I think his name is David, actually. Posted that they also haven't lost by more than a goal.
Yeah.
In more than 3 times in their history.
Yeah.
And twice have now been to Minnesota.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things.
I made a joke, when we were doing our predictions, and I said, well, I kind of want to predict a 5-1 scoreline like the last time I saw them in person. Of course, that was at TCF Bank last year, but where that was the last game that Minnesota played LAFC. They won 5-1 at the bank.
Now, we only had 4 shots on goal, so 5-1 would not have happened.
No,
correct.
But before we went into this match, though, it was as crazy to say that we were so down that, David, you were even talking about not watching the game because you had homework to do.
Yeah, that was schoolwork, yeah.
You had homework to do. And so that's how down we were on this game.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't even we were thinking about, how am I going to watch it?
Right.
So we go into this match not having very high hopes. And then we come out with this kind of weird formation that we haven't seen.
Yeah, I mean... I think I had texted you guys. I'm like, it looks like it's a 3-5-2.
Yeah,
but it actually kind of looks like it's, what did I say? A 3-6-1. I think is what I suggested.
It was
based on the designations on the release. It was a 3-6-1.
Yeah. So really, what that meant was we only had 2 attacking players.
Yeah,
it was Toy and it was DQ.
Yep.
So we were just playing a 2-man game to attack, and we were trying to clog up the middle to stop their offense.
Yeah, exactly.
And they didn't have Vela. He's
got a hammy.
He's got a hammy.
So that he came out He came out of the second half of the El Tráfico the previous weekend against LA Galaxy, and that was kind of interesting because going into the game, Vela was questionable with what was called a minor hamstring issue, and when Vela left that game, he was visibly upset at Bob Bradley, like why are you taking me off? Kind of upset. At least that's what it kind of appeared. So I thought he was kind of questionable coming in, but
maybe Bob Bradley went in this game saying this is kind of a rest game for you because it's a home game against Minnesota. We don't need you.
It could be, and I don't know, but man, LAFC definitely lost a little without him in the lineup. I don't know if you had a chance. He's obviously the MLS goals leader, scored,
and I think he's assist leader too. Isn't he?
Goals and assists. I think total.
He's going to be the MVP this year.
I don't know if you guys watched the Twitter game. That was I think it was the game before LA Galaxy. There was a game they did live on Twitter. It was LAFC in San Jose, and he absolutely had an amazing goal where he's just
the one that he went zigzags
through defenders.
It was just a shit show for.
So,
anyways, but
he's not there.
His replacement was Brian Rodriguez, who made his first start. Their big, I think, $11.5 million transfer.
And he was the one that pretty much kicked out
Ramirez.
I mean, he was the one that kicked him out.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going, well, even without Vela, it's still LAFC. And we have like I said, we have a new formation. Who knows how that's going to work?
Yeah, and like I had mentioned in our messages back and forth, it was... well, in fact, you said it earlier. It was totally a clog up midfield.
Yeah, exactly.
Because usually, if you have a 3-5-2, your wingbacks are offensive-oriented, so they can push forward. And usually your entire midfield is not defensive.
But they were.
So you have more than two guys.
Yeah, but...
And it was completely, we're just going to clog the midfield. We're going to kick it forward.
Yep.
Hope to God somebody's on the end of it.
Yeah.
And that was it. It's the most predictable thing you could do.
You said it minutes into the game. You said, here's what they're going to do. This is it. They're going to try and use toys and DQ's speed.
Yep.
And just try to get somewhere.
And that's what
they did.
And like I said, they're playing a two-man game, and I always go to different sports. I look at this as like a basketball game, where you have a point guard and a power forward or a center playing a two-man game the whole game, and that's that. And that's what they were doing with DQ and Toy.
Yeah.
They were having those guys set up the offense, and everybody else was pretty much, you're there to be defensive and kind of be there, but DQ and Toy, you're our offense today.
Yeah.
That's it. So we were all nervous, of course. I think I was afraid with this new setup and everything. I thought we were going to get blown out of the water.
Yeah, and I mean, even the first, let's talk about the first quarter of an hour, first 15, 20 minutes. It wasn't nearly as bad as I thought. Now, granted, LAFC had their chances.
So did we,
because we did, and certainly LAFC had the possession throughout the game. They did in the first 15, 20 minutes, but with that 3-5-2, and they did shift back, and you can almost go 5-3-2 at times. The back line withheld some significant pressure early on. And, Vito Manone showed up early and often in that game. It was impressive. So they kind of weathered the storm and kept going. So I was kind of impressed.
We go into the 25th minute.
25th, yeah.
And we had some opportunities with that two-man offense. Of course, texting back and forth, we were talking about how there wasn't enough guys coming up, and that was going to be the issue the whole game, was you're going to have two guys up front, and nobody's going to be there to back you up.
Well, I think even the 10th minute was a big one. So Mason Toy had a ton of space, and maybe, he didn't really have anyone to go to, but... He looked like he might have been able to shoot it, but Dave, because the goalkeeper came way off his line.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna have a fight on messages.
Yeah, because we were complaining about how he should have done something, and you were like, "Oh, the angle was terrible. He didn't."
And I said
shot.
He had two defenders. The angle was terrible. He should have had more support.
Yeah. And then
that was the problem with that formation. There's no support.
In that particular case, then DQ got it, and then a bad touch kind of gave it away.
What I was going to say about that, David, was the fact that in that situation like that, you throw it up because strange things happen. right?
Right.
You got 2 defenders. They can't use their hands.
Right.
You could get a handball. You could get 2 defenders going after the ball at the same time, and you could get a lot of things going on.
Right.
You just got to throw it up, I think. And he waited too long to do it, and it happens.
Fast forward to the 25th minute, if you want.
And then he proved Dave right with his goal.
He did.
That he can hit at that angle.
He did.
Which was much worse than the one he had before.
I can't even believe he made that shot.
His speed, though, was clearly evident prior to that shot.
That whole run, and honestly, I was started at Darwin a bit last night. That was set up by him.
It was.
Because he pressured the back line and got the turnover and got it to, I think it was Jan got the assist,
Gregus, right? Gregus got it to Toy right at midfield, and then Toy just sped down the field.
Exactly.
And then, wow, talk about a difficult angle.
Yeah.
And, he had
the goalie in the goal, too.
And for the man who just got called up to the U23 team.
Well,
yeah, he's trying to make a point.
Is it any wonder? I mean, the two, of course, I was going to bring that up later, too. But yeah, Hassani Dotson and Mason Toy, all they're doing is scoring like highlight reel type goals.
Exactly.
Yeah. And certainly that's
proving.
They're showing up when they need to be.
Exactly right.
Which means they can be depended on to make a difference.
Yeah.
And they're scoring highlight.
You can still see, in my opinion, Toy. You can still tell that. What is he? 20 or 21?
I think he's 20.
He's very young, but he is a bit raw. I think because there was a couple times, say even in an Atlanta game, where he's not focused into the game enough. He's missing some chances for runs,
and he has a bit of a hot head.
Yeah.
Which we obviously know from his
spitting incident.
The spitting incident. But he lets his head. He lets what's going on in his head get to him a bit, I think. Yeah. Which is a clear sign of a raw talent.
He reminds me of a young NBA player. Some of the rookies in the NBA who come out and they can score magnificent goals or buckets or whatever, but they're also hot-headed when they don't get their way because they're used to having their way all the time.
Yep.
But they're talented. And his attitude on the field just reminds me of that kind of brashness of young NBA stars, and I like that.
Yeah, because while some people can tend to dislike that because it can come off as arrogant when you don't have a right to be arrogant, I think it also kind of helps him build some confidence in himself.
Definitely.
So as he's going and he makes these goals, he's going to keep trying to make those goals because he knows he might hit a hot streak, and all of a sudden that's all he's doing.
So, like I was saying on text, guys, after that first goal, I think the confidence level of our team just went like sky high.
Right.
I think we all were like going, "Oh shit, we scored the first goal in LA."
Right.
This could be something, but of course it's against LAFC, so you're always scared.
Well,
they can come back.
I think, the confidence, I think you nailed it. I think it was sky high at that point, and rightfully so, because regardless of the possession or pressure, you get that first goal, and then you actually have some confidence in the midfield and back line to hold down the fort. And because we've seen Minnesota has had their moments where they've been spotty, they've had all it takes is one misplay, and you concede those goals, but they held their own. For the majority of that game, pretty much the whole game. I should say.
Not more than 5 minutes later.
Yeah, I mean it was inside a half hour. It's the 29th minute that it's credited for.
Mason gets the brace.
How do you outdo yourself? Well,
he did.
And what's worse is Major League Soccer gave him a nomination for Goal of the Week.
Yeah.
He used the first goal. The second goal was way better.
Yeah,
it was a stunner.
Yeah, it was a stunner.
It's almost like they meant for him to get beat in that competition because that second goal was phenomenal.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Both were from his left foot, we should say.
Yeah. Left foot, And if this was, I think this was kind of his, I know he was very up for this game. I could tell in the beginning of this game he's very up for it. I think he told him before this game started, you and DQ are it. You guys got to you guys have to win this game for us.
He was up for it.
This is up. And he came up and he rose to the challenge, getting on that U23 team. Now, of course, with people, MLS.com, all these places going, maybe he should just be on the national team. Maybe he should just jump to senior level. Why is he on U23? The guy can play.
I mean, there's an argument there. You know, and the nice thing is about the U23 is obviously, he could be called up and that doesn't mean he won't be called up to the senior team next
Of course,
year.
but what that could mean for Toy and Dotson, we should say, is the U23s. Well, that's critical for what's happening next year.